Hi, I'm going to try to give you all a little bit better idea about how to do a crit. I've just pulled up this drawing. You saw it in the gesture movie just to give you an idea of how you'd start. Um, First of all, it might help to know what the definition or how to look at a critique. It's a means of communicating how a project, a statement, or an object, in this case the drawing, compares to a previously expressed standard or guideline. So you got two things. First of all, you've got to decide on what this previously expressed standard or guideline. And what I keep telling you to do is go back to the assignment objectives and look at the way look at what they ask you to do in that part. Do they ask you to do a gesture drawing? And then you have to understand pretty much what a gesture drawing looks like. You have to understand, for an example, that you are looking for quick strokes, just a few strokes. Probably there are too many on this. You might want to suggest, in the gesture, although it's not specific, that there's a spatial orientation. There's a little bit of an attempt over here maybe and down here to give heaviness. No detail though, so in other words, look at what a gesture drawing is, look at what the assignment asks you to do, and then approach your crit. That means you have the standard or guideline, and I just make a few notes there. Gesture drawing would be quick lines, it would be few lines, it would be, gee, I don't know, you don't have to have continuous. And was that where we had the cross contour as well? Well, anyway, I don't think it was. But anyway, go back, read that, make sure you've got it written down, or you have an idea. Then pull up the object that you're going to do. Pull up the particular drawing and say, all right, does it meet this particular criterion? Now that's how you write a crit, or that's what you need to think about when you write a crit, okay? Now, writing, um, these are some good ideas for writing. Be as specific, and you get, I keep telling you to do this, and I know you're tired of hearing it, and you'll get even tireder, but be very specific. Talk about, let's go back and look at the fruit, talk about maybe the object to the left. Now you can't tell if these are apples or oranges. You could say the circular object to the left shows maybe a quick or two or three quick ones to give you a strong sense of maybe depth, or not depth necessarily, but a little more than normal shading down there. You might say that the middle round object has some nice dark areas that anchor it or give it a form. You might suggest that the bottom right is nicely described by the edge of the bowl. In other words, talk about exactly what it is that you're looking at. Now, concentrate on, and that's just what I said, what's before you for each individual piece. Do use design terminology, okay? Now, you don't have this handout, so, and I'll see if I can find it, but talk about the gesture drawing. In the case of the gesture drawing, we'll go back and look at this. Talk about how mass is built up by suggesting weight by this dark area, for an example. Now, if you're saying, I don't know what kind of terminology, design terminology, go back and look at that reading again that talks to you about what a gesture drawing is, and that'll give you some ideas. Then be objective in your approach, focusing on a detailed description of the piece. So to start, you might say, this rendition of fruit is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 round objects in what looks like a bowl. There's an effort to make the line fast, make it, expressive in that sense. So there again, like I just said a minute ago, be objective in your approach. Focus on a detailed description and then go through and be specific. Okay? I feel like I'm repeating myself. Sorry. Here's another list of things that might help you. You might want to say in your critique, were the objectives fulfilled? In other words, did this drawing do what a gesture drawing is supposed to do? Do you have a feeling that there is a form described and it's a quick drawing and just the essence, just a few lines, is that obvious? How well does the designer or the drawer meet and transform the objects of the or the objectives of the assignments? Are there changes or additions that need to be made? Well, you might say too many lines. You might say it would be nice to give a horizon here and maybe here to suggest space, although that's not necessary. Had I gone in and given you stems on an apple or a little, that little crinkly kind of uh, porous flesh of an orange, you could say too many details. In this case, you might say just the right amount, just not too many details, just enough to give us the suggestion of what the fruit really was. And then what are the strongest aspects of the layout? Well, um, I think one of the strongest aspects of this particular layout is that it occupies the whole space. You have kind of an interesting negative space up here on the edge, made by the edge of that rounded objects and the edge of this bowl. So I think that's one of the strongest things that's happening in this particular assignment. What would be improved? Well, we said maybe putting the horizon line in there. Is the approach logical and accurate? Does it work? Does it make sense? Okay. Is it simplified and direct enough to engage the viewer's interest? And here again, is this simple enough to make you look at it and think, oh, yeah, let's see, what is that? Or, look at that. Wow, that just looks like a bowl of fruit. Or, that doesn't look like anything. And it's boring and I don't want to look at it. So look at those kinds of things. Now, these are just to help you because the other thing I tell you is make your crit at least 2 paragraphs. And I don't mean a one-topic sentence paragraph. I mean a one-topic sentence that gives the gist of the paragraph, and then you have all of those wonderful little things that support what that topic sentence is. Now, I know that sounds like English grammar, and it is. But the importance here is that you learn to express what it is you're looking at. That will help you in client-to-client relationships. It will help you in peer-to-peer relationships, and I'm sure on a personal level as well. But I'm more concerned at this point with your professional level. So do learn to think through these things and do learn to be able to express them as you look at this. And I think last but certainly not least, is there some originality here, some imagery, some composition? Is there something that would make it a little more interesting? Going back to the fruit composition, yeah, I think I can make it a little more interesting. I can make those lines a little more interesting. I could make them broader in some area. I think I have way too many lines. So I think it would make it more interesting to simplify that even. It would be my suggestion on that. But anyway, and you all are very, very positive, but it's not enough that you can say, well, I really like this drawing. There's nothing I can tell you about it. That's not the object of a crit. I mean, that may be what I'm doing to you if you're doing a really great drawing, and that's because there's nothing I would change on that drawing. But you, as writing a crit, you have to think about critiquing the piece. Tell exactly why it does work, not just that you like it. And it's not the same thing to say, I really like this, I like the perspective. Well, I'm glad you like it, but why do you like the perspective? Is it accurate? Does the side of the object, say, taper to an obvious vanishing point? Those are the kinds of things, very specific here again. Okay, I hope this helps you a little bit more and doesn't confuse you. That was what I was trying to do. So good luck. Looking forward to the next grits.